Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to have you here. Now, listen. Today is Wednesday, April 24th, 2019. And, I'm going to tell you, we all know about Deutsche Bank. Or I think most of my audience knows about Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank's been stumbling along for the longest time, and when something is really slow like this, it's like it's on the back burner, people don't pay any attention much to it, and because it's been going on for so long. Here, Deutsche Bank's going down, Deutsche Bank's going down for ages. Well, this whole talk about merging Deutsche Bank with Commerce Bank to make one big bank, well, these merger talks have faltered. But you have to realize the reason why these merger talks were there in the first place was because this is a crisis situation. Now, Deutsche Bank has somehow managed to survive for a long time now, stumbling along on the verge of bankruptcy. Deutsche Bank is huge. And these talks between Deutsche Bank and Commerce Bank were absolute desperation to try to stop a situation that is coming, that they can see coming, right? So now these talks have failed. Deutsche Bank right now is in a more precarious situation than it's ever been before, and nobody's watching it. The news stories are not carrying this story. But it's precariously ready to fall right now. And there's a new talk of desperation of somehow them, Deutsche Bank, instead of joining Commerce Bank, trying to divide themselves into a bad bank unit and a good bank unit and so on. They're absolutely desperate right now at this point in time. And their stock price is down near rock bottom. It's not far off where it was at its lowest. We got to keep our eye on Deutsche Bank. Let's open up the charts. Let me get the charts going right here and take a look at what's going on. Here's Deutsche Bank right now. And what we actually see is, to grab this. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to get the chart focused down here a little bit so we can see what's going on. Deutsche Bank, we're looking at 6 months. And we see it did have a low spot back on December 27th of this year, but it hasn't really went anywhere much above that low spot, and right now it's dropping off. It's dropped over 0.5% today, and we're going to have to keep our eye tightly on Deutsche Bank over the next little while, because this bank quite literally has a huge derivatives book, and it's the biggest bank in Germany, and it's tied into everything. It's got financial tentacles through the financial system. This could turn into a black swan event overnight. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move into the markets today. We're going to take a look first at the silver price, which is pretty darn sick, but it's up 2 cents today, so we can't complain. But it's went down to $14.83. What they've been moving into lately is they've been moving into the dollar, and they've been moving into Treasury bonds, specifically U.S. Treasury bonds. The Treasury bond market right now, it's almost like it's in a bubble right now. It's almost like Bitcoin was when Bitcoin was at $20,000. So, I'm not going to say it can't go lower. We're going to have to wait and see what happens, but there's been tremendous buying in these Treasury bonds, and this shows how the investors' way of thinking, especially on the short end of the curve. Investors right now are scared. They're scared. That's why they're moving into dollars, moving into Treasuries. Now, the silver and gold price are completely out of skew. They've been suppressed and held down for a long time. And they're going to continue with this for a ways further. There is a point, though, where if sentiment changes as far as silver and gold are concerned, and the markets can change this sentiment overnight, it could go tremendously well for gold and silver. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. $5,423. Now I seen a move here in the cryptocurrencies that's making me very, very nervous right now. I know we've had a lot of gains quite recently in cryptocurrencies, but I see a move where the altcoins are selling off. And if you don't know what altcoins are, they're the alternative coins to Bitcoin. They're like Bitcoin, but they're not Bitcoin. They're the alternative coins. They've been selling off. Last night they were selling off big time. And Bitcoin was actually going up while the altcoins were selling off. This is a move that makes me extremely nervous about this market. It's a move that to me makes me feel like that the bear market is not over yet. It makes me very nervous about this market right now, what it might do, the fact that the altcoins are selling off. Let's take a look on cryptocurrency market capitalizations, and you can see the fall off in the altcoins. First, the market caps fell from like 180 some odd billion to 177.4 billion. Bitcoin dominance has went up. It's went up drastically. It generally ranges around 51-52%. It's went up to 54.6% almost overnight. And this move makes me extremely, extremely nervous. When we see moves like Bitcoin Cash falling off 8.46%, Litecoin falling off 7.35%, you know? This is creating buying opportunities, but at the same time, it's making me very nervous about this market, that we could see something happen in this market. I'm going to have to wait and see, but whenever I see the altcoins selling off like this, it really makes me nervous about cryptocurrency market. In other words, price falling in the cryptocurrency market. A correction may be coming. Just not exactly sure, but when I see this fall in the altcoins, it makes me very nervous. Of course, I've said that about 3 times. But let's move on, and let's take a look now at the Dow Jones for today. She's off 39 points on the day so far, 26,617. She's near all-time highs. And, you know, we've seen this ever since December. We've seen this massive move up in the markets. And it continues. It actually continues. This fall of 39 points is it's just a little bit of an off day. It could actually go on the positive side before the day's over. I'm just wondering how much more this run's got left in it. Just how much more energy it's got left in it. You know, I tend to think that anything right now that would happen in the world that could turn this market off. If Deutsche Bank were to fall, you know. I'll tell you, it could really rattle the financial markets. Let's take a look now at crude oil. Crude oil is down 0.3% on the day, 66.28 today. It's down just slightly like the market, but you know, I've been noticing the parallel between the rise in price of crude oil and the rise in price in the market. There's the market, and there's crude oil. And also when it started, you know. I find that very interesting. Now, I'm going to tell you a little something about the Canadian dollar. As long as this crude oil price doesn't fall, as long as it continues to rise, I don't see the Canadian dollar falling off sharply. But honest to gosh, if this crude oil price takes a tumble out of bed, look out for the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar is going to take a tumble too. And the fact that as the cruise price has been rising all this time, the Canadian dollar's been staying static at around 74 cents. 74 cents American dollar. This does not bode well for the Canadian dollar. This shows weakness in the Canadian economy and in the Canadian dollar. The Canadian real estate market is starting to falter. I'll tell you, I could see the Canadian dollar breaking down below 70 cents, especially if this crude oil price drops. And you have to understand, if we're entering into a recession, the world is not going to use quite as much crude as they normally use. There's this whole Iranian thing going on right now, with sanctions and everything, that's holding the crude price up. But things can change overnight, and this crude price could fall. And so would the Canadian dollar. Let's take a look at U.S. Treasuries today, and we see them buying in heavy again yet today. These are trends that are in motion, the dollar going up and Treasuries falling. We see the short end of the curve is still much stronger than the long end, except for the one holdout here, which is the U.S. 30-year. So I'll run down quickly through these Treasury yields. 2.42 on the 1 month, 2.43 on the 3 month, 2.44 on the 6 month, 2.43 on the 1 year, 2.32 on the 2 year, 2.29 on the 3 year, 2.31 on the 5 year, 7 years at 2.41, 10 years at 2.52, and the 30 year is at 2.95. Now let's take a look at the US dollar. Riding high and riding strong today. She's almost up to 98%. 98. She's almost up to 98. I'm going to tell you what. Emerging markets, you know, if the dollar gets too strong, emerging markets are going to have an awful hard time. This puts pressure on emerging markets. You know, and I mean, if the dollar starts to get up over 100 on the U.S. dollar index, emerging markets are going to start to really have trouble. Thank you guys for listening to this market report. And we'll catch you guys again real soon. Have a nice day, and give me a thumbs up. Bye-bye, guys.